Big, strong humans. The first meeting of the Galactic Council was with only 3 humans. This wasn't too unusual, as many races only sent out a scouting party when making contact. The first unusual thing was their size. They towered over us, each one filled with muscle. Later, we would find out that they were very average humans. The most surprising part was that they each acted independently. All the other sapient races sacrificed their physical abilities as they evolved intelligence. Instead, they worked in groups using their combined strength to perform even simple tasks. These groups would usually be together their whole lives, bringing them incredibly close and allowing them to act without even talking. The aliens' coordination amazed the humans, but all the aliens were amazed that humans didn't coordinate. The closest race was the Molins, who were quite proud of only needing 2 Molins for some tasks. Yet here were the humans, able to act completely independently, with no need for one another. At first, no one could believe it, but watching the humans made it very clear that they acted alone. Even their documents were written for a single person. To even start on the 4th section, you needed to read the 2nd section. It was slow, tedious work, as each pod of aliens had to constantly stop to ask another one about a previous section. In the end, they found it fastest to have one of them read it out loud to the others, switching off readers when they got tired. Their size and strangeness already worried us plenty, but it was their history that troubled us. They took this long to get to space because they had been too busy killing each other. Most other species had to spend significant effort protecting their citizens from nature on their own planet. Even once a species had managed to dominate nature, all their machines had to be built with our bodies in mind. On the other hand, the humans basically built death machines and then strapped themselves in. If they hadn't been so focused on killing each other, they could have easily thrown themselves all over the galaxy. For the first time in the Galactic Council's history, the option of eradicating a species was put forward and seriously considered. A few species argued strongly that the humans had outgrown this and were peaceful now. In the end, the Council voted to observe them. They weren't allowed on the Council, but they also weren't going to be eradicated. The humans were overjoyed and told us they were looking forward to interacting with us more. 3 instances really shaped the view everyone had on humans. The first one showed their empathy and kindness, though it was almost overshadowed by their physical abilities. A group of Skodar was standing in front of a burning building while letting out an ear-splitting wail. Several other species tried to help, but they knew it was too late. The fire had spread too quickly, and no one would be able to get it under control. The Skodar's children were therefore stuck in the building, except for a human, who shot over to Skodar and grabbed one of them. The Skodar stopped screaming out of fear, but the human only asked them some questions quickly. Then the human turned and smashed through a window into the building, an action that would have gravely injured most other species. Yet the human appeared only a moment later, holding 2 Skodar children. They handed them off before turning back to go into the flames again. Everyone waited for them to reappear, but nothing was happening as the fire continued to spread. There had been 3 Skodar children in the building, but no one knew where the 3rd child was. Finally, everyone gave up. Any species would have boiled moving through the flames. If they hadn't, they would be stuck as the fire slowly crept in. Yet at that moment, the human reappeared. If there hadn't been a video of it, no one would have believed it. On the 2nd floor, a window was smashed out, and soon after the human jumped out of it. A suicidal jump. Better to die quickly than burn alive. Expect the human landed safely. Well, both landed and safely are questionable. The human did land on their feet, but couldn't take all the force and ended up smashing into the ground. We assumed they had died until they rolled onto their back and coughed. The human had a blanket in their arms that they unwrapped, showing the 3rd Skodar child. The child was injured but would survive, though no one was sure if the human would survive. Most species would have died several times already, but the human could still move. They were rushed to the nearest hospital for treatment. It was also a chance to study their body. It hadn't been known that humans were fireproof. It was quickly discovered that humans were not fireproof, with this human being covered in burns. To put the results of the study in simple terms, humans were sturdy. Note: if fighting a human, make sure they are dead before moving on. It appears the humans might have a term for this: double tap. The injuries to this human would have at least permanently disabled a different species, but the humans said it wasn't too big of a deal. A few broken rips, many cuts and scrapes, and large burns were not too big of a deal. Yet the human was soon moving around on their own. Note, recheck the human action movies. They might need to be moved from fiction to nonfiction. The other thing everyone wanted to check is how the humans would react to this. One of their own got grievously injured helping another species. Would they demand compensation? Preferential treatment? Would they treat this human as an outcast? No, they treated them as a hero, a gallant savior who all should strive to embody. Even high-ranking and famous humans went out of their way to interact with this person. The only more surprising fact was how the humans treated the Skodar. Within days, the humans had fundraised enough to completely rebuild the burnt-down building and get everything the Skodar pod had lost. It was without a second thought they reached out to those who had lost everything. The second instance was the humans' interaction with the Grovels. It showed the humans' curiosity and inclusiveness. The Grovel are a race that came from a world around a dim star and had few resources on their planet. This meant they had to be incredibly efficient, and even to this day, they still built the most efficient machines of any species. It also meant they had to give up almost all their physical ability, being arguably the weakest race out there. They now mostly moved around on machines with built-in resuscitation in them, as they were prone to dying from shocks. Yet they were one of the races the humans interacted with most, seeming to not even care about their physical differences. It was the elegances and ingenuity of the machines the Grovels built that drew the humans in. Some humans would spend weeks discussing the most minute part of a machine. The humans and Grovel quickly grew close. It was at this point that the humans were allowed to attend the Galactic Council's meetings, but they were still not given a seat. Many species were still wary of them. The third instance began at one of the Galaxy Council meetings. Here we learned of the humans' brutality and ferocity. Some also argued for their loyalty and camaraderie, but it was easily overshadowed by their other traits. Simply put, the Vokars had told the Grovels to help design and build their ships and weapons, but the Grovels didn't design weapons. They were a peaceful race. The Vokars decided to force the issue and launched an attack on the Grovels. At the council meeting, many of the species condemned the action and told them to stop, but the Vokars refused. It was at this point that the humans brought up military action, calling upon the species to stand up to this. The humans were only met with silence, though. No species wanted to jump into this. They wanted to figure out how much risk they would be at. What would their losses be? The Vokar were the only ones to speak, stating no one should care about such a weak race. It would make the Galactic Council stronger if they disappeared. This was the first time everyone witnessed a truly angry human. It was a middle-aged man, not even a soldier, but a scientist. He had worked with the Grovel quite a bit. In a single moment, he moved across the entire room, too fast for any species to catch him, and lifted the Vokar out of his seat. He held him in the air and just stared him down. Everyone waited, thinking the human would kill the Vokar here. Even the other Vokar representatives stood silently. Finally, the humans dropped the Vokar and walked back to his table. He only asked the other human at the table, a military man, if they were ready. The military man then stood and announced to the whole room that the humans would be helping the Groval and would be sending ships and troops to stop the Vokar. They had been hoping more races would join them, but they would do it alone too. The humans then left. All the other races quickly set out to get as much intelligence from these battles as they could. What they learned, they might have wished they hadn't. The humans weren't simply gentle giants. They fully knew they were much stronger than the other races. They understood this was how to win battles. They had been studying our technologies and had found out how to disable them. It disabled their own equipment too, but this made the battles a fight of sticks and stones, and here the humans dominated. They didn't even need the sticks or stones. Their hands were good enough. The Vokar stood little chance once the humans got close, and the Vokar soon surrendered. We got some of the battle clips from the Vokars. We all watched as a single one of those motherfu. As a single human completely wrecked an entire fuke. As a single human disrupted the operation of an entire squad, and the only concern Command had was to make sure we don't make the humans sound too scary. The humans are scary, though, and their ability to use their physical prowess in battle puts them at a severe advantage in any confrontations. If I had known this when we had originally met them, I would have recommended the complete annihilation of the species. However, I believe it is too late now. I cannot ensure victory against the humans. They have shown they are more than capable of peace and do not appear to have a desire for war. Therefore, my recommendation is to try and meet the humans with peace and kindness. We can only hope they will return the same to us.